Good everyone, Orgado's video, and today we have the second flight in the XP-50. Now, if those of you who are not in the Discord, link below. If you are new to obviously the channel and everything, and you've not seen the Discord link, it'll be in the description below and everything. I bet you're wondering, how do I have my hands on an XP-50? Well, the other night, me and Hairy Feet was just playing around. I was in the F6, F5N Hellcat just because I thought, why the hell not? And after getting one kill and one assist, I got a battle trophy, which got me a 50% discount on the XP-50. And I thought, well, I don't see why not. I've wanted this thing for a little bit. I'll break out Joe's wallet and see what I can do with it. And the plane itself only cost me about £4.79, I think it was, which is about $6.05 roughly. Obviously, take into account that inflations may change. And let me tell you, this thing is incredible. I've flown aircraft like the TARS, the stuff like the 335s, which I've always thought were quite good, as well as stuff like the P-51D30. I thought that thing was a monster. And then I jump into this thing. So the XP-50 was basically a requirement set by the US military for a twin-engined aircraft, obviously to not only escort and do stuff like that, but to just do general missions. And the XP-50 was put up against what was going to be the P-38. Now, obviously, if you know your history about this aircraft, you'll know that it suffered a supercharger failure and the pilot had to bail out, obviously losing the aircraft. This meant that obviously the XP-50 was taken out of, well, it wasn't considered, and the P-38 won the contract. And, well, in real life, there was two armament proposals for this aircraft. One was 450 cals in the nose and one in each wing as well, so that's 650 cals. Then we have the armament that we should have in game, but yet we don't. And that's two 20mm AN/M2 cannons, two 50 caliber machine guns, as well as two 50 cals, one in each wing, of obviously 450 cals and two 20mm in total. Obviously, as you can tell, we do not have the wing root machine guns, and we also don't have access to what apparently this thing could carry two 100-pound bombs, although I don't see the use in that. But you never know, might help it out with versatility. Overall, since obviously I have been flying the aircraft since I did the second flight. Obviously, the first flight I got rammed. That's why I'm not showing the second or the first flight. I got rammed by an A7 who decided to. I shot him on fire, was in a head-on, and he went for the ram, and there wasn't really much I could do. But the review on this aircraft is pretty much already ready to go, so I'm doing the second flight just to show you the first impressions and everything. Well, proper impressions, and then obviously we're going to jump into the review of the aircraft when that comes around. And there's already an appropriate there's an appropriate replay name. And this was the second flight of the XP-50. And this was actually pretty good to actually do. Obviously, I was squatted up with Hairy Feet and Mr. Killer Tiger Jr., who you may not have seen for a while. He's not been on the channel for quite some time. I think the last time he did was when he sent me a replay in his P61. I don't remember. Well, let me tell you what. Obviously, I've got the aircraft set up with 20 minutes of fuel. The cannons are set to universal, and the 50 cals are also set to universal. So you get a good mix of AP and HE in the 20mm, and you get 3 API, 1 T, or 1 tracer, and 1 incendiary in the universals for the 50 cals. Now, obviously, the 50 cals will stay in the fight much longer than the 20mm will, because the 20mm are based off the Hispano Souza. I think it's the HS404. They're based very similar off that. But these cannons, they hit hard, let's just say. They hit very hard if you know what you're doing with them. Just bear in mind you will run out of ammunition for them quite quickly. Now you can already see where this thing's nickname, the Skyrocket, comes from. The aircraft is powered by two 1200 horsepower right Cyclone and... Oh, sorry, not Cyclone. I think they're right R1820s or something like that. I don't know why I said right Cyclone. And these aircraft engines are not the most powerful. They're not actually that powerful, but it's the aircraft's lightweight that really gets this thing going. And just watch that altimeter is all I will say. If you can't be bothered to look at the top left, just look down there at the altimeter and you can see it spinning like crazy, because that's what this thing does. This thing can get to pretty much 20,000 feet before any other aircraft, even ones with air spawns at this BR. And the fact is that this aircraft is simply one of the most powerful aircraft I have flown in a long time. Let us put it that way. So obviously I'm just going to jump us ahead, because obviously we're here to see the XP-50 and everything. But yes, after getting that 50%, I thought, why the hell not? I might as well get the aircraft. Harry's been telling me to get it for quite some time. And I can kick some royal ass in this thing, let's just say that. This aircraft is simply incredible with its performance. Now, dive speed was one thing I hadn't worked out yet, as well as maneuverability, because obviously it was the second flight. I didn't exactly get a good first impressions when I got rammed. Now Tigger's down there in his P-51, he's in the Allison powered P-51, and unfortunately he's going to get swarmed by multiple Japanese planes, so he's not going to be in the fight for very long. So now it's me and Harry in our XP-50s that are going to have to start pulling the weight. So straight away, nice good bit of damage on that Key 43. Did actually get a crit, only the 50 cals hit, not the 20s, otherwise he would have been long from this world. The cannons and the 50 cals seem to have very close velocity, but obviously because the cannon weighs more, like the cannon shell weighs more, it obviously loses, it loses speed a lot quicker than what the 50 cal would. The furthest kill I've achieved in this aircraft was with the 50 cals at about 0.7 of a mile, which is about this distance. But this poor bastard is about to have a very bad day. Now, of course, I aimed for the cockpit just to be sure, but I was hoping the 50 cals would set the wings on fire or something, but unfortunately no. That's kill number 1. And all I will say is the review on this thing is going to be pretty positive. There's only really two things that I couldn't really keep on top of. Well, I mean, one of them I could, it's just the second one is more down to the aircraft and Gaiju's damage model. The first one is engine overheating. I noticed this pretty much immediately. It likes to overheat its engines quite a bit. Scored a crit on that guy in his A675 Co. 2 premiums dueling it out, and I know exactly which one's going to win it, and it ain't that one. But obviously, it's a 0. I'm not going to dogfight a 0. I have the speed. I'll just put it in a dive and go and help Harry on the deck. Now, what you've got to remember is that this aircraft is one of those birds that it fights on allied teams, but that isn't really its fault. The only other problem I had with the aircraft was that it was rather fragile. That being the tail structure and the wingtips are rather fragile. So, try to avoid taking damage in this aircraft, from what I've been able to see anyway. But, if you can keep it wound up, I mean, just look at the airspeed, that'll tell you everything. This thing really does pick up speed. And it's simply incredible what this aircraft can actually do to the enemy team if it's flown right. And the fact is that this aircraft just has the performance to pretty much kick the ass of most of what it sees in straight line speed, and it will pretty much outclimb anything from a starting runway. You will have some aircraft that will give you a hard time, but other than that, you can pretty much take this thing like what Harry's been doing into 5-3 games and still kicking ass, because this thing's just got the performance to do it. So at this point, this poor A6M5, he was not going to get out of that situation. It was going to be one of either 4 of us getting that kill. And I had the better angle, I took the shot, and got myself my second kill. But yeah, the first flight, oh god, let's not go over that. That was just horrible. Yes, this does mean I will have to cover the... Well, then again, do I really need to cover the XP-50? Because I'm already reviewing it. If you do want to see a premium series flyout in the XP-50 so you can get a live feel for it, just say in the comments and I will do that. Because obviously I need to start Russia for the premium series in aircraft. And if you want to see the XP-50 in the live video, just let me know and I'll do that before I do the Russian Hampton. So at this point, that Zero decided to go vertical when a Corsair 1C was looking at him. That ended well, as you can tell. And now it is down to just a B7A2 that took a crit earlier, but obviously got back to base and repaired and rearmed. And also a space climbing J2M2 who's going to come down and play a bit later on. But you can just see what this thing's capable of. I'm not even used to the aircraft, and yet this thing's just kicking so much ass. Like, I think I'm down to the 50 cals at this point anyway, or if I've still got cannon left, I ain't got much left of it. Turns out I had a bit of cannon left. Got number 3. But that just gives you an idea of the sheer firepower that this thing packs, and this isn't even the correct armament. Now I am not sure where the extra 50 cal guns would go. If I had to guess, I'd guess the wing routes, or alternatively outboarded the engines just near the ailerons. That's my guess. Obviously I don't actually know that. As for the bombs, it could apparently carry 2 100-pounders, which I wouldn't personally bother if they put them in the game, but if that meant I had to respade the aircraft, I'd be more than happy to do that. But if it's missing its guns and it's missing its bombs, you might as well put them in, guys. It's not that hard of work, but then again, you're about as useful as sits on a fish at correcting things like that. I mean, they did a big server update the other day that basically corrected nothing but helicopters. And a couple of jets. Yeah, where's my extra 250 cals? I'd love that. Obviously, if the 50 cals, well, the 2 extra 50 cals were added, even though I think this thing's from 2013. That's how old this aircraft actually is. I would really recommend, well, I would obviously do a video on it again, just to say, like, look, this thing's been buffed, this thing's been given this, been given that, but it's traded this, something like that. So at this point, I said to Harry, right, I need to go down and get some grad targets, because I want to see what the 50s are like against that poor AAA piece, who's been trying to scratch my paintwork. The 50 cals are actually surprisingly effective. It doesn't really matter what belts you use, to be honest. My personal recommendation is either universal or ground targets, although I tended to have the most luck with universal. And obviously, I think I just ran out of cannon there and got myself a pillbox out of it. But here you can see Mr. J2M2, and he's not happy in the slightest, let's put it simply. This J2M has pretty much seen his entire team get slaughtered by the US Air Force. And the mistake he makes is following the Corsair right towards me. Now I only do have 250 cals remaining. But nothing screws me. When Bardus speaks, you listen. And these Bardusers were behaving well in this game. As this poor J2M2 is about to find out. I think you needed that. Personally, I think you needed that, mate. Yeah, he did. That's gun number 4. I was just having a bit of humour there. But, yeah. That was my second flight in the XP-50. And not a bad one at that, to say it started off with a ramming incident. There's always got to be one asshole in there. But yeah, review's going to be coming on this aircraft soon. It's incredible. However, do I think it's worth, I think it was 1,750 Gold Eagles? I'll explain more in a review. I'll see you all then.